Well, Wizz Air has been a brilliant airline. They've done extremely well in the European market. They went after Ryanair and EasyJet's business. When they started operations into Abu Dhabi, the focus was to increase connectivity over to the CIS and East Europe. And I think it's pretty unfortunate that they had to exit and exit so abruptly. I've run airlines in the past, and for someone or for somebody in an airline to pull the plug on a network, it's going to be financial mostly. But I guess it's going to be Etihad's gain because this will lead Etihad to step in and bridge the gap with additional fleet and capacity over into Wizz Air's market. The bigger concern I have is for those passengers who book tickets either coming into Abu Dhabi or going out of Abu Dhabi. It's their refunds I'm more concerned with at the moment.
I mean, looking at the statement from Wizz Air Abu Dhabi, they talk about geopolitics, they talk about operational issues, and I get all that. As you say, a very, very good airline. And yet you see airlines like Fly Dubai or Air Arabia out of the UAE, essentially similar business model, doing really, really well. Revenue strong. I mean, the profit margins at Air Arabia are, well into double digits. So my question is, why could such a good operator like Wizz Air Abu Dhabi not nail this model when Air Arabia has and Fly Dubai has? That's my question mark.
Well, Air Arabia commenced operations in 2005. Okay. So they've been in the game way, way back. I mean, they've built the market. They've gone into destinations that no one ever flew. They created markets for themselves. But what happened with Wizz Air was that they were offered an extra base, a platform to operate and fly from. And when you step into a new network or a new destination or a new market, remember you've got the competition who's already there, and they're going to roll their sleeves up, and they're going to take the fight to the ditch and give you a bloody nose. I'm not gonna, say that it's got to do with geopolitical because, hey, you know what? Geopolitical risk can be worked around. In the airline business, we deal with risks every day, whether it's fuel or currency or overflight restrictions or restricted airspace or no-fly zones. And I mean, we're used to it. That's part of our day-to-day business. But for an airline like Wizz Air to pull the plug, it's got to be P&L, it's got to be financial bottom lines, it's got to be competition. I think this is more, without reading too much between the lines on geopolitical, I think it's more got to do with their overall strategy and their financial bottom lines.
So where does this leave Zayed International Airport in Abu Dhabi as a hub? It's about a quarter the size of Dubai in terms of passenger traffic, but it's a shiny new terminal. It's growing very, very fast. Where does Zayed go from here in terms of a low-cost operation?
Well, it's a gorgeous airport. I mean, they spent a whole lot of money. They spent a lot of coin on that airport. It's brilliant. It's well designed. It's got the capacity, but that's just what an airport is. In the bigger scheme of things, it's not really an Abu Dhabi versus a Dubai or an Abu Dhabi versus a Sharjah. It's an Abu Dhabi with the world, and that is a key opportunity because from a when you start a new destination, you're not going to make money in the first 12 months. You got to be invested, you got to stay invested, you got to be locked in for the long term. And that's usually 5 to 7 years of recovery. So Abu Dhabi is a long term game, and it's got its own niche, it's got its own market, it's the capital, it's governments, it's embassies, it's consulates, it's diplomacy.
It's Disney soon,
And
Mark.
it's Disney, it's Ferrari, it's F1, it's everything. So, but I think the nice part about how airports in the Middle East are differentiated is Dubai is more the businessy, the make money, and Abu Dhabi is more the formal capital city, diplomatic affairs and so on. And I think it's a brilliant positioning. Along with leisure, of course, you got to have that too. But fundamentally, they're diametrically opposing, and they're obviously going to have their own market. So I'm not really worried about Zayed Airport.
Finally, let's talk about India. We know all of the airlines and airports in the UAE would love more flights to India, not just the main cities, Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, but the second, even the third tier cities as well. But the aero politics keeps getting in the way. You're sitting in India now. Any prospect for that to change in the short or medium term? More flights for the Emirates and the Etihads of this world, or for the Air Indias and the Indigos of this world?
That's something which everybody's been trying to work on is rework the bilaterals, rework the code share agreements, open up. I mean, why on earth are we restricting flights to and from India to the Middle East and vice versa? We should be open sky. There's a gigantic Indian diaspora in the Middle East. It's a workers' market. You're dependent on air travel. It's 2025. You're not going to take a boat or a ship over to Dubai, and that's why. And no one's going to be hopping on a cruise for 3 months to get out of Mumbai, right? So, I think this is got to do with it's more of an intergovernmental negotiation step as opposed to airlines trying to lobby hard. So far, all that we've seen over the last 20 years, because I know this because back in 2005, I used to work and support Emirates Airline. And I know how tough it was to work on bilaterals and flight rights and code share and all of that and all of the above. But now, both governments need to, meet up, catch up, grab a cup of coffee, and say, look, let's start looking at progressive air transport policies between our two regions. We need to open up the Middle East to you, and you got to open up India over to the India for the Middle East. And that's going to take a tremendous amount of negotiation. I mean, and even more now because we're dealing with the world is dealing with U.S. imposed trade sanctions and import. We call it import duty where we come from, and even in the Middle East, they call it tariffs. So clearly, Asia, Middle East, Southeast Asia, China, Australia, the region, we're going to have to get more close to dodge and try and circumvent this whole U.S. trade tariff sanction madness.